from the Huntley Library. Thanks for joining me for today's Teen Crafternoon. Our project today is taxidermy with toys. So gather some supplies with me and we're going to get started. So before I get into the supplies that you can use for this craft, I wanted to show you a few examples of things that I found online while I was researching this. A friend of mine actually brought this sort of faux taxidermy idea to my attention. So these are some of the things that I found. We have a little narwhal mounted on the wall here, and then there's a unicorn in these two pictures here, and it looks like a deer or a moose in that one. This is a jackalope, and we have another wall-mounted deer or antelope. And you can see people use a variety of different materials to make these. These are just stuffed animals. This looks like it could be ceramic or plastic. Some of the other ones could be paper mache. Here we have a rabbit. This is a badger. There's a dragon in this bottom one here, and then another unicorn. This one is a knitted moose. This is a little, looks like a fabric sewn rabbit. We have a little dinosaur made out of felt perhaps, or some other material. Fleece. Here's a little goat. And then another deer, which looks like it's been painted or decoupaged. And then this last one is a tentacle. So if you have an old toy at home that you'd like to get rid of or that you'd like to repurpose for this activity, find that. It can be plastic, it can be a softie like this one. This is a little fox that I found at a craft store. It could be paper mache. They also had little miniature piñatas at the same craft store, so I have a little llama here that I'm going to use. And this was about $4, so each of these was about $4. If you don't have something at home that you're willing to sacrifice in the name of taxidermy with toys, you could pick up something else that works for you. If you have action figures, that would work. Depends on what you want to hang on your wall, really. So these are going to be my two options. And along with that, I wanted something to mount them on, so I got these little wooden plaques, and they come in different shapes and sizes. I got a couple of these for $3, so you could pick one up, or if you have scrap wood at home, that would work. If you have a heavier sort of cardboard, that could work too. We also had these sort of wooden coasters that were left over from another project, so if you have something small, you could mount that to there. So keep that in mind. I know some people, or in some of the examples I showed you, the head is directly mounted to the wall, so you could just make a backing for it too, if you don't want to put it on a plaque. Let's see what else. In some of these examples, you will notice, like in this badger right here, they did something to sort of decorate around the head. So this looks like it's fur. So maybe this badger, I don't really like the idea, I should tell you right now, of animals separated from their bodies. So my thought with these is that if I hang it up, it's going to be some kind of creature bursting through a portal into my dimension. So that's how I'm thinking of it. But if you want to decorate around the head, like in this scenario, you could get something like this. These are just from the floral section of a craft store. Just a little bit of garland leaves on kind of a wire. You could use silk leaves or plastic leaves, fake plants or flowers to decorate around. I also have some ribbon here. This is kind of a fancy glittery rainbow ribbon that I thought would look good with the llama. So I'm going to try and incorporate that into the plaque once I've got the head on there. So those are some other things that you can assemble. You're going to want to decorate, if you're having a plaque behind your head. You're going to want to decorate that with something probably. So you could just paint it. I'm going to use some white paint to prime it, and then I have some other colors here too. Probably I'm going to use purple. You could also decoupage, so you could find some colorful paper or something else like that, and then just use Mod Podge over that to make a background. Or you could stain it and polish, stain it and then seal it and make it shiny. Whatever you want to do with that. So the decorating part will be up to you if you're using a plaque. I'm going to use paint and then probably Mod Podge over that to protect it and shine it up a little bit. And then you're going to need something. We'll have paintbrushes to apply all of that, and then you're going to need something to attach your head with. So today I'm just going to be using a low heat glue gun to do that. But there are other ways that you could attach things too. If you have thumbtacks or staples, that would work to attach the head. Or if you're not attaching it to a plaque, you'll just need to attach some kind of backing so that you can hang it up. And then for my plaques, I have these hangers, picture hangers, that I can use so that I can put a hanger on the back and then eventually affix it to a wall. If yours is really light, you might be able to just put some magnets on the back of it and stick it on a fridge or a locker or some other surface that will support it. For instance, these little coasters, they're super light, so if I were going to put a very light little head on there, then that could probably be supported with some strong magnets. Okay, so you get your own supplies together, and I will go through the process of decorating these for you so that you can see my example in progress. If you're working with wood, you might want to check and see if there are any rough edges on it before you go ahead and paint over them. Mine has a few over here. So if it does and that bothers you and you happen to have sandpaper on hand, you can just sand around those edges and then do that over a garbage can or outside so that you don't get the wood dust everywhere. And then you can take a wet cloth and then just wipe off any remaining residue from the wood dust. Okay, and then we are ready to get painting here. Okay, so I mentioned before that I'm going to use some white paint just to prime this, and since it's a pretty big area, make sure you protect your work area so that you don't get paint on your table. Okay, looks like this is the biggest brush I have, so you can use a pretty big brush to apply the paint if you're not doing fine details. Whoops, I grabbed the wrong thing. White paint, there we go. And since I'm just doing the white, I'm not going to pour it into another container or anything. I'm not going to get any other colors in that white paint. And this is just to get it ready for another color of paint. I don't want to have to do a whole bunch of different layers just to get it the color that I want it to be. So we'll just do a quick layer of the white to prime it, and then I'm going to do, I think, the purple over that. And this will be for my fancy llama that is bursting through from another dimension. When we were doing our project Tweens at the library, one of the most requested programs that we had, or topics for Project Tween, was gluing things to other things, which was we would come up with some kind of challenge and then provide a bunch of different craft supplies and like stuff we found in our junk drawers and recycling bins for people to use. and then they would try and complete that challenge either as an individual or as part of a team and create something that fit with the theme. And then we go around afterwards and give out little prizes and stuff to the ones that we thought were the best. And that was a lot of fun. And basically it was people using our glue guns to glue things to other things. So I thought maybe we could just call the programs that, because that's exactly what everyone was doing. But they were a lot of fun, and we got to be super creative with coming up with ideas and inventions and reusing a lot of things that might otherwise have just ended up in the trash. So that was always nice. So hopefully we can do something like that in person again soon. But for now, I hope that you guys are all having fun trying things out at home and watching some of these videos that we're putting together. It's kind of fun for me to make things like this because there are all kinds of things ideas that I find from other librarians and other libraries and just on Pinterest in general. And I've accumulated quite a lot of ideas over the years that I want to try out, and you guys are my best guinea pigs for creating new things and being willing to try new stuff with me. I'm sure I could put together a whole list of my own Pinterest fails where things didn't quite turn out how I wanted them to or expected them to. But we learn from mistakes, or they become unexpected things. That aren't really mistakes at all. Okay, so that's going to dry for a few minutes. The wood is pretty absorbent, so it shouldn't take too long. And then we'll come back and I'm going to paint this purple over it. So let me go clean my brush and we'll take a quick break while I do that. Okay, here's the purple paint, and I'm going to shake it up to make sure it's mixed well. All right. And then we'll just paint a little purple coat on here. My white's not completely dry, you can tell. So I'm going to have a bit of a lavender color. That's okay. It looks kind of like an Easter egg. And there are lots of other ways that you could decorate these, like I was saying. It doesn't have to be paint. You could be doing collage and decoupage. I want to keep this a little simple because I want the focal point of the piece to be my llama's head. So, full disclosure, this is the first time I'm trying this, so I hope that it works out well for our example. Almost done. And make sure that I get around the edges here, anywhere that I could see it while it's hanging on the wall. I'm not going to do the back though. That I will leave unfinished. We did do another event sort of like this in the past where we took different kinds of toys. I think we called it Franken toys, and cut them up or divided them and glued them to other toys and made new ones. So that was a lot of fun. A lot of those toys came from donations from library staff, or we picked up a bunch at Goodwill too. So they found new life in our project. Okay. So that's got to dry now, and then we'll come back and do the Mod Podge over it so that it will be nice and shiny. This is the glossy Mod Podge. They also have a flat Mod Podge, and I think even an extra glossy one. I don't know. There are all kinds of different flavors. Do not actually eat this of Mod Podge, but we're using the glossy one. So while we're waiting for that to dry, we can start prepping our head. We're going to perform some surgery here, some decapitation with the llama. And I still have this other one that I haven't used yet. So I want the neck. I want to make a cut on the neck that's sort of diagonal like that, so that when I place it down on the plaque, it kind of comes off of it a little bit and sticks out. Although for this one, it might be easier to just do it along the back of the neck, so that's already nice and flat. So what I'm going to do is detach. I think I'm going to make my cut down here right into the chest area, and then see how it looks if I attached it right there or if I attach it on the back. So we'll try that out. I'm sorry, llama. Oh, he had a little thing to tie him. So I'm just cutting around the neck and the chest here, kind of right underneath where that little rope is. Cut, cut, cut. This is not super thick. I don't think they even used, yeah, they used some cardboard, like a little box. Interesting. Okay, I was briefly distracted by the construction of that. Okay, so this is what it would look like if I attached it kind of from that chest cut. So that actually looks pretty good. And then if I wanted it to be more kind of nose on, I could attach it on the back of the neck. So what do you think? Coming out or flat? This is a tough decision. So I think I'm going to do it from the neck, chest area like that, just because I've just noticed this, or realized this now, there's going to be a big hole down here that I don't really want sticking out on the bottom. So I'll attach it like this. And I want to make sure that when I glue it on, it has some place to attach. So let's see what we can do about that. I'm going to move this little rope up a little bit so it's not in the way. And I'm going to just cut some slits like this. They are probably about I'm doing like an inch or I'm half an inch here. So I have a little flap and a little flap and then one more little flap. And then I can use those little flaps with my glue gun and glue those down, and also glue around this area here. I just want to make sure that it's kind of all on the same level so that when I glue it down, it's not uneven. So it looks like it was a little uneven there. So these will be other spots where I can glue it down to. And get those all on the same plane. And if some of these are kind of too long and you think that you're not going to be able to cover them up easily, you can trim, which is what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to trim some of that off and trim some of this one off. And then it should sit flatter. Okay, looks pretty good. This is of course not the plaque that I'm going to be using, but while we're waiting for the other one to dry, we can kind of play around with the positioning on this one. And then I've got this ribbon that I showed you before. So I want to see how I might use that. That's really interesting. And it is pretty wide. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit and see if I can come up with something that I like. And we will wait for our plaque to dry and then try and put this all together. I think this is mostly dry, so I'm going to try and put the Mod Podge on it now. This is just to make it shiny and protect the paint a little bit. Not that I expect that it will get a lot of action on the wall, if that's where I'm going to hang it. And you just want to paint over with the Mod Podge everything that you've painted to seal it in. And again, I'm not going to do the back of this, I'll just leave that unfinished. If you were doing the decoupage or the collage, you could use Mod Podge to glue down the paper that you're using. And you could just paint a little bit of Mod Podge underneath and then attach the paper on top and then paint Mod Podge over that top of that. So that would be your technique for that method. So if you have some scrap paper hanging around, or paper wrapping paper, anything like pictures or whatever, you could use that as your decoration for your plaque. Or maybe you want no decoration, in which case you could just make this shiny or leave it plain. It is up to you how much you want to put into it. This is why some people take hours and hours and hours to complete projects, and other people are like, okay, it's been 5 minutes, I'm done. Just depends on how you want yours to turn out. I think I fall right into the middle of that range. I have just enough patience for like an hour or two and then I want to be doing something else. So if it takes longer than that, it might be a multi-step project for me. Alright, I think I covered all of that. So again, we're going to have to let this dry. And depending on the humidity, the thickness of your layers of paint and Mod Podge, that can take a little while. So give it at least 20 minutes and then check and see how it's doing. So while that's drying, I am going to do some surgery on my little fox friend here, and decide how I want to get his head on a plaque. Now I didn't notice this when I bought him, but his head is kind of turned off to the side here, so that can make it interesting for mounting it on a block. Yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to do that. It might be easier for this guy to attach it at the back of the head, just because it would be flatter. Let's see. I meanwhile have painted the other plaque, so that's drying too, so I don't have a plaque to attach him to right now. I can pretend maybe with one of these little coasters as if I'm going to attach him there. And it looks like from some of my examples that some of the animal heads are attached just so that they're looking out. So I think that would probably be the easiest thing for me to do with this guy, rather than try and get part of his chest and have him with his head sticking out like that. And I do want to leave some space here too, so that I can, there's enough fabric to work with to close off the bottom of this. And it looks like his head is stitched on, so I could just remove those stitches and see what happens rather than dive in with my scissors. Or I can dive in with my scissors and hope for the best. That's the easiest thing to do right now because my stitch remover is in another room. So here we go. Here's my surgery. And once I got in there, you can see he's got some stuff in. I can actually go down a little bit on this fabric here, so I'll have a little bit extra right under his chin. Snip, snip, snip. Now, I'm just using regular scissors, which I cut paper with and all kinds of other things all the time. If you have thicker fabric, you may need to go with fabric scissors for a good cut, so just be aware of that. Whoop. Well, that was alarming. Okay, my fox is officially decapitated. So now is the time when you can alter the amount of stuffing in their head, because he's got quite a bit. So if you needed to add some and then close this up, or take some out so that he's a little bit less robust here, we could do that. So right now he would be looking down if I attach him that way. Or I could do the back of the head and he'll be looking out like that, in which case I just need to close this up. So for me that's going to involve some sewing, and I'm just going to stitch a running stitch, I think around there, and then try and draw it closed. And I may need to remove some of the stuffing so that it's not spread as wide as it is right now. So I'm going to get a needle and thread and show you how to do that. If you don't have a needle and thread, that's okay. You could either attach it directly down like so, or let's see, we could probably staple that closed or glue it closed. The gluing would take some doing. You might need some pins or some strong fingers or paper clips or what else. Something to hold this closed while it dries, so keep that in mind. I will be right back. Okay, so change of plans. I don't think we're going to be able to do a running stitch right off the bat just because there's a lot of pressure required to close this up. So what I did first is I removed some of the stuffing from the head, so hopefully that will make it a little bit easier. I've got my needle and thread here, and I'm going to try and do a few bigger stitches just to close up this hole, and then we can make it a little bit neater in a minute. So I tried right in the middle a moment ago, and that broke my thread when I tried to knot it. So I'm just gonna go through a few times here on the end and see if that makes a difference. And maybe I can get a knot in it now. Well, looks like that might work. I hope. So I'm pulling it taut. This is hard to do and get close enough so that you can see. And I'm just going to tie a knot here with my thread. I did not have a knot tied at the end of my thread when I started, so it was just loose, and now I'm tying the knot now that I've done a couple of stitches right there. Okay, and then I like to hide the end of the thread inside of the hole that is still here. And you can kind of tuck in these rough edges here as you're sewing, and then poke your needle in above where the edges are to close it up, and that will make your stitches a little bit less visible. So here I am going just above where that edge is, and then I'm coming in on the other side just above that ragged edge, and we'll do that again here, above the edge, above the edge, and then pulling it taut. I do have a little bit sticking out there, but it's not terrible. If you're finding that there's still too much stuffing in there, go ahead and remove some more stuffing. I could have left a little bit more fabric definitely around the neck so that this would have been a little bit easier. Because it's still kind of uneven. Okay. I'm still stitching the same way, trying to keep on top of, tuck in those ragged edges and stitch just above them to join on the other side. That one really wants to come out. You have to get your thumb involved. If you haven't done a whole lot of sewing, this could be a little challenging for you. If you have a thimble, you could put that over your finger so that you don't accidentally poke yourself, which I have totally been known to do even though I've been sewing many years. I have a little bit more fabric to work with now that I'm past that centerpiece. I just lost my needle because my thread got stuck on the fox's nose. So I'm going to rethread that and then sew up this side too, tucking in all the edges. So I'm going to pause this for a second while I do. Okay, so I sewed up to about here, and now I'm just going to do a last stitch and then tie a little knot. Oops. Okay. And I just have this wrapped around my finger like so, and then I'm pulling the needle through, and I can stick my thumb or another finger right there just to make sure that the knot stays close to when I've been sewing. And I'll tie another one on top of that, and maybe do a third one, depending on how thick your thread is and how porous your fabric is. So you don't just want this to pull right through. You can also put a dab of glue on there too, to make sure that it's not going anywhere. And I will do that when we actually attach the head to the plaque. Meanwhile, you just watch me struggle with my knots. Okay, that looks pretty good. So, scissors, and we'll snip this off. Okay. So the way this is naturally sort of falling, because there's kind of an indentation here where the fabric is pulled up, it looks like it might just be easier to mount it sort of towards the back edge here when I glue it. So he'll be looking down a little bit when we do that. That's not so bad. And if you're feeling creative, you could use the back end for something else. Or maybe you wanted to have the back end coming out of the out of the plaque instead. That's up to you. I'm going to do front ends. This is disturbing, so goodbye little fox head. Maybe I'll make a different head for the fox or put like a bunny head on it. We'll see. That would be the Franken-Toy program that I was talking about. Alright, I'm going to check on our plaques and see how those are coming. Welcome back. It looks like our plaque here is dry. My fingers aren't sticking to it, so that's a good sign. I've got my glue gun warmed up over here, and we're ready to attach our llama head. So I'm just going to make sure that this rope here is out of the way for my attachment. And then we're going to put some glue, and I'm going to try and do this kind of fast so that hopefully it won't dry right away, because sometimes glue dries really quickly. And I've got to reload my glue gun here with the other stick. So not as fast as I would have liked it to be. And get it on the edge here too. That side again. Alright. Make sure you set your glue gun down so it won't fall over. And then attach your head. Head attaching. Be careful when you're pressing down like this, because the glue might squirt out from underneath and burn your fingers. I think I've got a good attachment though. It feels strong. Yeah, and you can just press down on that for a few seconds. Make sure it stays. I feel like it's coming up a bit in the back. So, well, it's coming up a bit in the front too. So we'll, oh no, we'll try and re-glue that. Okay, again, I hope that I don't have a problem getting this to stick here. I'm going to go over and see if I can glue it down on the outside too. Hopefully that will help get it attached here. I'm going to try and put some ribbon around the outside too, so I'm hoping that that will cover up any glue that's showing right here. And if my ribbon doesn't work real well, I can always do like a paper fringe that matches what's going on in the piñata head itself. Glue, glue, glue. Okay. So this usually dries and sets pretty quickly. And you can clean up some of these longer tendrils that are stretching out from the glue. Do you see a spot in the back that I missed? I'm going to get that as well. And one over here. I would like this to really stick. And then I'm going to clean up again all these little stretchy bits. Okay, that looks like it's attached. We hope. So I was trying to think of what to do with this ribbon, which I really like a lot, but it's kind of big and bulky. And I think that if I maybe fold it and go around, which might require that I glue it together first, and then which way would be better? And go around the outside. Or maybe I could cut it in half. I don't know what cutting in half will do to it, since these are all sequins and they're kind of sewn on. I feel like that might mess it up. So I will just measure around loosely. And try and get an idea of how much ribbon I need. That looks about right, and I'll give it a little bit extra. And then we get to find out what happens when we cut it. Okay, I'm gonna try and find a spot, oops, in between the sequins. The sequins are flying right off. So yeah, I'm gonna have to find all of those later. Okay, but that looks like it worked. And now what happens? So if I fold it like that, and then go around, it would look something like this. Do I like that? If I leave it flat, what does it look like? It looks like a mess because it keeps popping up. Smooth it down. Looks like that. It's too big, I think, like that. Kind of wish I had a narrower piece. Okay, so I'm going to try and fold it in half, and that is going to involve some gluing as well. And I'm going to get another glue stick in case I need to switch into that real fast. And glue, 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 glue. glue, glue. Fold onto that glue. Fold, fold, fold. Again, trying to be kind of quick here. Okay. And I can pet my sequins down so that those are flat. All right. I'm not going to pick up the plaque by the head, just in case that isn't totally secure. And then I'm going to try and attach this around the base. So I'm not sure what the best way to do this is, but I think I'm going to lay down a little bit of glue here and just stick it and see how that goes. And then reload. We're up to like 2.5 glue sticks now. And put another glob down there. Glob. Stick that. And another glob here. And stick that. It is a slow process, my friends. Another glob. And it involves a lot of globs. Stick that. And since this is kind of bulky and I'm laying it down in a curve, I have to fold it a little bit to get it to lay flatter and really follow the curve of the neck. So you're going to see me doing some of that. I hope this ends up being a big enough piece. Here's our little glob. Since I didn't do any folding before, it is a work in progress, y'all. Glob. I need like 5 minutes of glue not drying time to really figure out where everything is supposed to go beforehand. But we'll work with this. We have to. Okay. Glob and stick. I'm hopeful. Here's a glob. Stick. Blob. I need to find a different word. Make a blob of glue. That just rhymes with glob. Make a dot of glue and secure your ribbon if you are doing something like this. So now you can tell that my head is a little bit off center because my ribbon is also off center here. I'm going to pick it up just a little bit here. It is curling in the back. But I think we'll be able to get all the way around here and maybe even connect it here. I'm just going to tuck this end in. You can see it's sticking up a little bit there. And I'll put down a little bit of glue right there. Whoa. And then tuck this end in and stick it down. Oh, got my finger in it. Okay, so now it's harder to see where it joins. that actually looks not too bad. Do wish it was a little bit more centered up here, but I'm not unhappy with that. Beautiful. Okay, so that one is mostly done, and what remains to be done is to just add this hardware on the back so that I can hang it up. So I'm going to wait to do that part, and we will attach the fox head to the other plaque that we have. Okay, for our fox head, I bought this leaf garland that I want to use somehow, and so far it's not looking super great right up against or right up around the fox's head. Turquoise was maybe not the best color for for the painted background, but that's alright, we can make this work. I think maybe around the edge here would look nice. So I'm gonna have to go around like I did with the ribbon and attach it with the glue gun. And then that should look pretty cool. And I might go around a couple of times, we'll see how it goes. It's already sticking on its own. So I'll get another glue stick ready and get this going. Okay, so put a glue dot right there at the top, and then get that piece down. And I'll put another dot here on the side. I'm really glad this is not a high heat gun because I have stuck my finger in the glue several times now. I'll get another dot right there. Look, I found a new word, dot. Dot of glue. Although on the other one it was more of a glob, so I feel like that was an accurate description. There's another dot. I guess this is the slow and methodical way of doing this. I would prefer to just put all of the glue on in a circle and then put the garland around that, but the glue dries so quickly that I think you end up doing this anyway. So we'll just start by doing it this way. And the effect will be the same. And I guess this way I'm not getting as much glue all over the leaves like if I put them in the wrong place. So it's working out okay. Here we are back at the beginning again. Whoops. Stay glue gun. Alright, so now I get to decide, do I want to go around again? Or do I like what's going on here? I think I do want one more layer. What do you think? I say let's do it. So here we go. Around again. Gluing. Ow, that time it did hurt. I'll put some right here. And I'm going to try and get it in places where I might not have glued it last time. Ouch. I'll have to inspect my fingers later to see all of my glue injuries. So far I think it's just building up on me. Okay, and we're gonna add in another glue stick so we can keep going here. I do like the leaves on the outside here. So if you have some old fake flowers that you're not using or fake leaves, it could make an interesting decoration on these. Just be sure to ask if they're not yours, if it's okay to use them. Whoops. We're nearly there. Are your fingers as covered with glue as mine are? I have some nice little tendrils coming off of them. It's like working with spider webs. Okay, I think this is where I left off. So last little dot of glue and stick. And then I can cut this. Great. So this is gonna require maybe a little extra cleanup to pull off all of this extra glue that's left little tendrils across here. It kind of sticks to the glue that's already stuck to my fingers though, so that's working out nicely for the collection process. All right, looks kind of good. And our head is going to go on right there. This one, I'm going to pay more attention to where I'm putting it. At least I'm placing it first to see where it looks best. And then I will get the glue gun and actually do that. Actually glue it down. So we were talking about it before. The places where it's going to hit the plaque are these cheek areas here and possibly this back area. And I'll put a little bit of, and yeah, it doesn't look like the nose or the snout is going to hit it all. So I'm just going to focus gluing right in this area. And it's might be interesting with the glue gun here because it's a fuzzy material, and I'm hoping I can get the glue on fast again. I'm not sure how much I'm going to be able to do from the outside without really making a big mess. Okay, out of the way, and hope to remember where I placed you. Stay. And there you go. He's stuck on. I'm just going to hold this for a few seconds and hope that that will be enough to really get some attachment going here. I'm trying to think of how I can use the rest of this, or if I should use the rest of it. Does my fox need like a little garland? Would that be cute, or is that's just kind of too much, isn't it? Okay. All right, he is stuck. So I think if I were going to do this again, I would try and tilt the head back a little bit more than it is right now, because he's kind of looking down. It's hard to see what he's seeing. I could maybe try and glue back over here and see if that helps. Let's try it. Why not? Oh, so much glue. All right, here we go. Squish. So here we are, holding our fox down. I don't know if this will work because there's, again, a lot of force required here to hold it in place. But maybe it will work. And it has pulled up some of the other glue from before, so I might just end up with the whole thing coming off. Yeah, that's what's happening. Just be satisfied. Be satisfied with where you put it. Now we're gonna have to try and glue this part down again. Will it stick? I don't know. Okay, stick, stick, stick. Again, holding it down, hoping it stays in place. We'll see. Yeah. A little bit. All right. And then maybe we can glue around the outside and see if that helps really hold it in place. This one might be a little messier than the last one, and I don't have any plans for covering that up, so that's okay. Try not to get too much of the glue in the fur. I'm sure taxidermy in real life is not like this. Are there any taxidermists out there who would like to comment on that? It's just a suspicion that I have. And do they stuff things with sawdust in taxidermy? I don't know. Here we have polyfill. And there's just a few more spots I can squeeze glue into here. I'd really like these to stay attached to their plaques, so we'll do what we can. There's really quite a large space under here, so don't know that I'm going to get a lot of attachment from the bottom. But it's working pretty well from the sides. That should be enough to hold it on. Okay. Well done. Again, a little cleanup, which I cannot seem to get. There we go. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that process and that yours maybe goes a little bit more smoothly after you've seen me struggle through with it. I think it turned out pretty well. Let me grab the llama, which is sitting behind me here. So here we have our 2 specimens ready for wall hanging once they've got their hardware on. Or you can make bookends out of them. That would be pretty wild. So here's what it looks like on the wall here. Very nice. Not actually hung yet. So I hope you had fun today on Teen Crafternoon making our taxidermy toys. You can subscribe to our channel for more fun craft ideas and other videos, and check out our events calendar at www.huntleyllibrary.org. See you next time.